Welcome back. Welcome back to the Detroit is Different podcast studios. And in studio, once again, like I always say, I got a guest that I wanted to get for a minute, but this is really true. You know what I'm saying? We actually went from some of her children, as they would say down south and everything. Her daughter definitely joined us in 2025 for what I think was one of the cooler interviews in Detroit is Different history. So check the archives of that. But today you are blessed with where it all come from. Got it from a mama. Well, you know, many of those things of interest in definitely the sciences and many more. So I'm speaking of Dr. Tierra Bills, and like I say, the roots, as they say, it ain't far from the tree. I've known her for a long time as one of those Shule students, and she's one of the Shule teachers. And if you're from Shule, you definitely know Mama Nozibele. As yes, Walimu is definitely not, yes, that's what it would be a Shule, but also Mama Susan. How are you doing today?
I am wonderful. I'm so excited to be here. I'm honored. Thank you so much for making this happen. This is truly a blessing for me. So thank you.
Well, so much in the story of being in my children's age always involves like the Shule, and you were for sure staple of that institution. I say anybody that went to the Shule through the 90s, if you did not know Mama Nozibele, I don't know where you were. You know what I'm saying? Because you were just in that fabric of it. And we start these stories, and I got a little bit from your daughter, but I know you got a couple more of these insights because, you know, you was around for some of it. We always start. Your family ties to the city of Detroit. What's the roots? What's the stories? What's the origin?
Okay. So, so like you said, my parents were born and raised here. Their families migrated north, like, you know, most of our families. And I take that back now. You know, I have a big sister. I have to give some love to my sister, Mama Gail. She's the family archivist, so she knows all the details about the family history. But it's possible that my mother was not born here, but I know that my father was.
Okay.
And but they met in Black Bottom, like all Black folks, most of them that grew up in Detroit, and married, you know, right before my sister was born.
Okay.
And raised all of us 7 children.
Wow.
And I'm sorry, 5 children. There were 7 of us.
Okay.
I had 2 older sisters that are deceased now, and then the 3 of us, my brother Keith, and then Mama Gail, and I'm the youngest.
Okay.
So yeah, lived here all my life. Was educated here. Went to school. I went to a small liberal arts college for a little while. That was in Richmond, Indiana, Earlham College, and did not graduate it because I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do, like a lot of us. And so eventually, while I was there, I learned that I wanted to be a teacher. I remembered that I wanted to be a teacher.
Okay.
Because that was something that I had when I was a little girl. I pretended to be a teacher.
Ain't that something?
like many of us did, right?
Yeah.
So came back to Detroit, went to Wayne State University, got my degree, and right after getting my degree, started working at the Shule.
All right, so we gonna go back.
Okay.
You the youngest of a crew of them.
I am the youngest.
So what's I know you definitely get different stories from your older siblings and stuff, but what was it like being the youngest? What was the feel? I assume they'd be like, she got away with everything.
That's what they always say about the youngest. Absolutely. And it was true for my family as well. Even though we were what you call stair steps, my sister was born in 57, and then my brother Keith, 58, and then I was born in 59.
Oh, so y'all still close enough.
We were right together, but my sister was a lot more mature physically, and I would say emotionally, she was more mature than we were. So she, you know, we weren't as close as we are now growing up, but, you know, we loved each other, of course. Yeah. But she was kind of like, you know, we were the little kids, and she, you know, she was more mature, like my older siblings. So I was actually closer with my brother. Yeah. And I hung out with him a lot, and I was quite a bit of a tomboy. And if you knew me at the Shule, you know I was involved in sports and all of that.
Yeah.
So, and that was because of him, and it was also because of my parents, because they were quite athletes also.
Okay.
Yeah, and they played softball, baseball. My father played baseball. They bowled. They were avid bowlers. They took us along with us.
Okay.
So I learned, from my parents and from my brother how to be an athlete.
All right, so we've talked about this before, and people should know that really, I think any Midwest city, it's gonna be some bowlers there. Detroit bowling is serious in Detroit. People go
yes.
they travel to the country and everything.
Oh my goodness!
So
yes.
I definitely want to tap a little bit into that, because this the other thing. Like, people always talk about, the karaoke. Like, people really sing in Detroit when they sing. People really can bowl. So it's like what I do, where it's like,
goodness.
oh man, I got like 3 or 4. It's some people where you almost hear it. It's like, okay, well, this is. I'm not. I was kind of coming for, I thought, a birthday party, but it's like they start lining up and they look and they got the gloves out.
Oh my goodness. You cannot go into a bowling alley without your own shoes, your bowling ball, the towel, the glove, the whole works, And I started off when I was maybe a younger teenager, going to bowling, participating in bowling leagues. And learning, when we were coming up, these were opportunities to learn the skill, even though we would go with our parents, but actually being a part of a group is what taught us the skills to be good bowlers. And I bowled in co-ed. I did a lot of co-ed stuff because, like I said, I was following my brother around.
Yeah.
So we bowled in a kind of a children's, like teen sort of bowling league, and I have to say I was pretty good back in the day. As a matter of fact, I bowled all the way up until I got my teaching degree.
Wow.
And when I was doing my student teaching, I had so much stuff going on. I was bowling. I was playing softball. I played in multiple softball leagues. I played on basketball teams. I was doing, and then I had 2 small children, Gary and Tiara, and I was going to school.
Okay, I want to ask, because I usually go into this, but what do you think you kind of learned and you picked up from athletics at a younger age that was been, just helpful in life in general?
Well, I believe, everyone has to pursue an area of their interest. I'm a staunch believer in that. We all have these gifts and talents. And I think I learned that kind of late in life. I was actually in college before I learned this. We can do multiple things. We don't have to be good at one thing. And I think that that teaches you. It teaches you to have self-confidence. It teaches you that you have multiple abilities. You can apply a lot of those skills to other things that you're doing. And that's one thing that I learned working at the Shule. Because Mama Imani, oh my goodness, she taught us that she could see talent in you. She could see talent in us. And she encouraged us to pursue those areas and pull that talent out of us. But we also learned that we could apply those things to teaching. And that's one thing that I always tried to do, apply my gifts and talents to what I did in the classroom.
Okay.
And try to teach lessons from those things that I was also good at, So.
And also with this, you brought up softball and some basketball. I definitely knew a little bit of the basketball. Now this wave, I think, Major League Baseball is having more initiatives of like getting a lot of black students or children into baseball. But in your definitely coming up, baseball was very much more prevalent.
Oh yes, we grew up on the east side. That was something that I think Tiara said that. And all my life I've lived on the east side. So, and we lived in neighborhoods. They were very much neighborhoods. So, there was a neighborhood school. We all walked to school, There was a park in the neighborhood. We partied together. We hung out together. We were like family. Everybody on the block knew each other. And so, and we played baseball and softball, we played in the alley because there was one park, but if someone was playing on it, then there was no room for you to play, right? So we would play in the alley. Back then, The alley was the spot, right? I mean, some neighborhoods don't even have alleys now, but back then, that's what we did. We played basketball. We built a basketball hoop in the alley, and we played, built it onto the garage. We played in the alley because it was paved, and you could bounce the ball, And we played softball in the larger spaces, or if there was a lot nearby, we played softball there. And that's just how it was. And even if, like me being a girl, I was following my brother, so I wanted to do it too. It was fun, So they would let me play, and they sometimes they would go easy on me because I was a girl, but I learned how to play. I learned how to be a pretty good ball player from hanging out with the boys.
What position did you usually play?
So now we go back to baseball, softball. So I played every position.
Wow.
Except for maybe pitching. I don't think I pitched. But I did everything, and sometimes I would be, they would call me in when they needed somebody. They may not have picked me initially, but, I ended up getting in the game. And, hit a few home runs or got a few good hits. And then from there on, it was on, like, okay, we want her on the team. Right?
You hit a home run.
Right.
And I think our generation, we may have played baseball a couple of times, but it just always felt like you needed way more people to play.
Yeah.
So like basketball, we could play 21 as 3 people or whatever. Like it could be less people for a good basketball game. Where baseball, at minimum, I'm thinking you at least need a catcher, a pitcher, first, second, and third base at minimum.
And see, I believe it was a reflection of the times as well. Because back then we had complete neighborhoods. Like every house was occupied. And then we even had on our block, I grew up on Helen Street, and we were 1 block over from East Grand Boulevard. So on the boulevard, there were mansions, right? There were big homes on the boulevard. And 1 block over, on the other side of the block, on the Helen side, there were a lot of larger homes. There were flats, 4 family flats, 2 family flats, and then some single family homes. And then we had large families. So we had families that lived across the street from us, and they occupied the whole 4-family flat, the whole family,
the whole family. So almost like you could just go across the street, and that was everybody you needed. Yeah, it was like, come on.
They were a team all by themselves.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
So it was not hard to find people to fill up, 2 teams. And if it was, maybe 1 person missing, okay, we still played. We did whatever we needed to do to play the game because it was the love of the game.
Okay. All right. And with that, you've already kind of touched a little bit on that neighborhood. And I was going to say, what do you remember the most? So I just pick up with that question. What do you remember the most about that neighborhood, even when you go over there now, just the arc of over that way?
So I go over there quite a lot because my sister lives on the same street that we grew up on.
Okay.
And it's a lot different, Many of the houses are gone. It's not a cohesive neighborhood like it was when we were growing up. It was very much a neighborhood, a community. I'll put it that way. It was very much a community. We all went to school together. If like I had 5, there were 5 of us.
Yeah.
And I had one sister, Terry, and that's who my niece Terry was named after, my sister Terry. And she had cerebral palsy. So she didn't go to a traditional school like the rest of us did. But I had an older sister, Sharzetta, and then there was Terry, then there was Gail, and then Keith and me. So we had other family members, we had other neighbors that had children that were in my siblings' classes, right? Wow. So my oldest sister, she had her cohort, right?
Yeah.
My sister Gail, she had her cohort. We had all of these, families that had, we were family.
Connections.
Right. And even to this day, we have people in that same neighborhood that we're very close with. My brother has a group of buddies that because he was the only boy. Okay, I have to say that. So, he made lots of male friends. And he has a group of his buddies that they still get together almost every year. They do things together. They're still very much connected to each other. And that's how it was. You were a family. These people were like family. We went to parties together. We got into mischief together, We went from, we knew people that, I knew people that I went to kindergarten with and we grew up with, and we still know them. So
Okay.
I don't mind saying my age. I'll be 67 this year.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I have friends that I've been knowing for almost all my life.
Okay.
So that's how it was growing up. And so that made a difference, because even if I wasn't in your class, you were in my brother's class, and he was only a year apart. So I knew you all. They came over to our house. We had parties at our house. The neighbors would come. We'd have the basement parties. I had my Sweet 16 party. All of the neighbors and, my sister's friends and my brother's friends and my friends, we all were there at the party. So we were like family.
So I also, when it's neighborhoods like that, the other reality that when you get older, you kind of recognize it. It's like, so I'm guessing it was a good amount of like snacks or food being taken from God knows who.
Oh my goodness. But also, we didn't talk about the cooking thing, and I know you probably had this story too, but my mother could cook.
Okay.
And my mother's sister could cook, and my mother could cook. And that was a way to bring about community.
Oh yeah. So if you timed it right, it's like, I'm probably gonna be
when she had dinner. She made enough food for everybody. If you was Joe Blue and you dropped in, you could get a plate. As long as you weren't doing anything wrong, you could come and get a plate. So, and that's how it was. Even when we grew up, like I tell this story about how, and Tiara can attest to this, when my mother would cook for Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever, she would cook so much food, she would make enough food for us to take home. And so, and there were 5 of us, right?
Yeah.
So, except for my sister Terry, all of us could take food home. That's how much food she cooked. Plus, we ate dinner there, right?
So it was like your mom cooked the meal,
right,
and the to-go.
And the only difference is that they didn't do the to-go containers like we do today. But they cooked up a storm. So, and I digress, because
no,
that's not how it is now.
Not at all.
It's not like that anymore.
Nah.
And we had to make a concerted effort to maintain that community and go visit people and do things that we just took for granted. You just walked across the street. I had a cousin that lived not even a block away. They moved into one of those flats, and we hung out together. My father's younger sister, she had 7 children herself.
Okay.
And she got into some problem with her spouse, and she had to move in, all 7 kids.
Wow.
And all of us, plus all of her,
everybody,
mother and father, all of us lived in this little house on Helen Street. And we made it work. We made it work. And that's how I got to know my cousins, because they moved in and lived with us.
And that story is... you hear that story a lot from then, but today it's a little bit different. But even now, when you welcome family, it's something big. I got a classic story about, I always say, this is my grandma's room. I always uplift. But with it being that, one time, and rest in peace on Charlotte and on Evelyn in Flint. One time I'm just, during music, it was a producer that I worked with in Saginaw. And I was like, this time I'll stop off and see them in Flint. Yeah. But... And this is like old school Southern traditions, because it come like this. I was just planning on being like, what up, though? I ain't seen y'all in a minute. And then she was like, Evelyn, like, stop me. And like, sometimes some seniors, they got a good grasp on you. Like a good little grasp. And
she Don't underestimate.
I know. She was like, nah, your grandma ain't around, but I'm going to tell you, if we don't feed you, I'm going to have problems with her. And I'm like, grandma been dead for 7 years, you know what I'm saying? But that's part of sometimes the arc of that story of we going to give you something.
That's right.
Because that's how we was raised, and that's how we kind of keep things going.
That's right. And if it's not something tangible, it's knowledge. They're going to drop some knowledge on you. We had that auntie like that. My auntie Darnella, bless her soul, and she's kind of like, my sister Gail is like the Darnella of the family.
Of this generation. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But anytime we had a problem, I could go talk to my auntie Darnella, and she could cook, and she was wise, and she was smart, and she was funny, and she was like my mother. She took in everybody,
Yeah.
And she had 13 children herself.
Wow.
And she even adopted a baby.
That's beautiful.
So she was like everybody's grandma.
Okay. So that goes into the next natural question. I'm guessing, did you go to Southeastern? Because I'm thinking that'd probably be your neighborhood school.
So no.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the neighborhood elementary school, Marcy Elementary. From there, I went to Whitney Young Middle School. Now, at this time, there was there was segregation laws that had been passed where they were trying to integrate schools
with the
in
bus,
Detroit.
with
in
bus.
Detroit, right? So they had what they called a magnet school at the time, and they bus kids in from white neighborhoods, black neighborhoods, all over to this school. And it was the first year, was the inaugural year that Whitney Young was established. So my brother and I, we went to Whitney Young. And it was not that far from us, but the neighborhood school was a little closer. I would have gone to Barber Middle School, I'm sorry, if I had gone to the neighborhood school. But I went to Whitney Young. Also during that time, I was just telling someone this story. They changed the structure of schools. So they had middle schools on what they call junior high schools, right? And then at this year, the year that I graduated from Whitney Young, which was 72, they started letting people go to the ninth grade in some other high schools. So before you did ninth grade in the junior high schools.
I think a lot of people don't remember that, but that did happen where, middle school was 6th through 9th grade.
Right. That's right. So I came along right at that time, just when they made that transition. And my brothers and sisters, Gail and Keith, they went to Cass. So I wasn't going to be left behind. So I went to Cass too.
Okay.
And all three of us went to Cass, and we all graduated from Cass.
I do have some CT questions, but also that you bring up Whitney Young, I'm very aware because which now that's being remodeled and everything, I went to, after leaving Shule, I went to Hallie Magnet Middle School.
Okay.
But Whitney Young was like one of the first magnet schools in Detroit, but I also think even like Michigan, like you can, if you study like archives and histories, there's more information about the value of this school and the teachers that'll be there and things like that. What was that experience like, even just going to a school that's opening up? You know what I'm saying? Like you just rarely even get to hear that type of story.
I'll be honest with you, because I believe it was the first year that the school opened, and we were in previously it had been an elementary school, and it was a very small building on Field Street in Detroit. So they moved over there to, I think it was Durfield, or what was the name of it? They moved to that building that they're currently in, or the last building that they were housed in. Yeah, they moved over there a few years after I went to school. Right, when I went to Cass, I don't know how much longer they remained in that same building. And they moved into this new building. Duffield, that was the name of it. So it was an older building. It did not have a lot of amenities, no pool, all the things that were at Barber Elementary School. This was a junior high school. Yeah. And it was, the rooms were larger. They had more space. They had a nice gym. I mean, all the things that we didn't have, they had at Barber.
You'll notice this, I know, only when you're older and you go, but even like the lockers of an elementary school versus a middle school versus a high school, they're different. That's right. Because it's like, first off, like, the locker in the elementary school probably is maybe only going to be 4 feet tall. You know what I'm saying? So, you pretty tall. Anyway, it's like, damn, you got to bend down, put your coat in there. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. It's a whole different, it's not set up for the physical size of middle school and high school students, So, and so I always felt like, and then here's the other thing. So my brother, he went to Whitney Young only for the 7th grade. And after that, he went to Barber. So my sister Gail went to Barber. He went to Barber.
You was like,
and I stayed at Whitney Young until I went to high school. So I felt alone. Like I was the youngest. Believe it or not, I was pretty shy when I was when I was that age, And to be honest, I didn't have very good self-esteem. So I knew that I needed to be on my own, but I didn't want to.
You weren't ready at that point.
I wasn't quite ready, right? Yeah. So he left me, and he went to Barber, and I was hearing all of these great things about the activities and things they were doing at Barber.
They got a pool, they got a gym.
And I'm like, dang.
It's that.
I missed out.
What's that? That Everybody Hates Chris episode where he skipped school and Earth, Wind, and Fire. It just feels like everything's happening there.
Right?
It's like, yeah, man, Superman was chilling in class.
And so I say that to say, I felt like I didn't get the full middle school experience, but it was smaller. I probably was where I needed to be. In retrospect, I think I was where I needed to be because I needed that smaller environment. I made some very good friends. I had a friend, my dear friend Prometta. She is not with us now, but I met her at Whitney Young.
Wow!
And we went through Whitney Young. We did our little graduation activities. We walked down to Big Boy.
Okay, there we go. The one I'm guessing across from Belle Isle. For years, it was I don't know if people know. Yeah,
it was
Elias Brothers.
Everyone went to Big Boys back then, especially when you went to your prom. You went to Big Boys afterwards. But that was our 8th grade trip. We walked down to Big Boys, and it's funny. During that time, downtown was a little different than it was. So they had Crowley's, they had Hudson's, they had Hemel, they had all of these stores that are gone now, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where we went. We wanted to get something nice. We went to Hudson's or Crowley's or one of those stores, right? So I go and get my 8th grade outfit, and she got hers. I don't think we went together. I think she went with her parents or something. Yeah. And I got mine from Hudson. She got hers from Crowley's. So the day of the 8th grade luncheon, it was a luncheon actually.
Okay.
We have on the exact same outfit. It's a different color, but the exact same outfit.
Yeah. Hilarious.
So that was funny. And we had our group of little friends, and her and I are the only 2 out of that group that still kept in contact with each other.
That's deep.
But long-lasting friendships. That's another thing. I want to kind of go back to the community thing in the neighborhood that I grew up in. So we had churches that were the hub of the neighborhood also, and several churches. There were churches almost on every corner. There was a church, and some of us went to one church, and some of us went to other churches. But a lot of the activities that we did centered around the church.
Okay,
like I was a debutante. My sister Gail was a debutante. We had sports teams. We played on softball teams that were sponsored by the church. They had a little community center. They gave dances. And we went to the neighborhood dances at the community center that was attached to the church. You've heard of Al Hudson and One Way, right?
Yeah.
They grew up in the same neighborhood that we did. Many of the members were part of the Ernest family. They lived down the street from the church. Many of them were musicians, singers, things like that. They were in those bands. And they came to the church parties and performed at some of those parties.
I have to, for people that don't know, like you guys ever heard the Cutie Pie song? And then I want to say Alicia Myers did music with them as well.
Right. If you play your cards right.
Yep. Yeah, and everything. But One Way, it was like a... me being born in 82, I just remember so much of that. Like this, it's almost like I don't know what to really define it, but like it's like a era music where it's a little bit disco, it's a little bit funk, and it's also a little bit pop.
Anita Baker, soul, funk, R&B, all of that little bit that mixed in together.
But it gets some faster stuff like like RJ's latest arrival, and you know what I'm saying. But some of those same producers are like working on all that music, like maybe like that window of like 78 to like 83.
Yes,
yeah,
and that's definitely during that time. That's during that time era because that's when I was a teenager. And a lot of the things like we didn't go to. Okay, so there was a place on Mac. You probably heard of it. the barbecue place. What's the name of that place? Oh my goodness. They sold barbecue in the downstairs, and upstairs they had a dance floor, right?
Okay.
So they had parties and things in the restaurant. And I'm gonna think of it before this is over with.
If you don't, I know I'll be interviewing Alberta soon, and I'm sure she knows and has a million different stories of like, like when people talk about like Matt, she went to Mama Gloria. We were leaving, we were on Green 2 the other day, 48214 organization, and we driving down
Absolutely,
Matt.
That's the area code. And, that's right. Because in my area code, my zip code, I'm sorry, it was 482 03
and 07.
When you cross over Mac, it's 14.
Yep.
So you're right.
Yep.
And so anyway, what I was trying to say was that we went to these parties in the church because they were safe spaces for us.
Yeah.
We knew it would be okay. The elders were there watching out to make sure, nothing jumped off. We occasionally went to the little place, on Mac. It was another little place on Gratiot. I forgot the name of it. But, we kind of went to those little places, we got a little older.
Yeah.
But we did things together, So if something happened to one of us, there was people to report back. There were no cell phones, right? You couldn't call anybody and say, hey, this is happening. Just word of mouth. Things would just get back to your parents and they would know what's going on. So, and then like the older children would look out for the younger ones. So I was the baby. I was tagging along with all of them. They made sure I got back home, right? So it was very safe. And that's not to say that things didn't happen. That's not to say that. But I don't think it was as prevalent. I think there was much more sense of community back then than there is now.
Definitely. And I do have to ask you about your Cass Tech story. What was Cass like for you? Clearly, as people say, the old building, you know what I'm saying? But what was Cass Tech like for you?
So I remember so many things about Cass. And some were good and some were not so good. I always thought it was, when I first got there, it was not what I thought it was. Like the big CT, And like I said, my siblings were there, but we were in different curriculums, different grade levels. They had their friends, I had mine. So it wasn't like we were always around each other.
And that's what I was going to ask, because Cass is really in that
huge
arc of collegiate prep. What did you pick as far as like your curriculum, or what was your major?
So real quick story about that. When I got to Cass, I think my math grades were better than my science grades. And I wanted to study chemistry. I wanted to be in chem bio. Now, I was following my sister, to be honest. She was in chem bio, so I was going to be in chem bio, right?
There you go.
But they wanted to put me in business. And I was like, no, I don't want to go into business. I want to go into chem bio. So my mother, bless her heart, I told her, she went down to that school, talked to the school counselor or assistant principal or somebody. Next day, guess what? They was putting me in chem bio.
There you go. Shout out mama. Shout out mama. Even though, but now you guys, when you go back and look at the Tierra interview, you kind of understand. You know what I'm saying? You may be one of the you may be one of the very few ninth graders like, I can't believe they not let me into chemistry. It's like everybody else is like.
And it's funny because I would not have advocated for myself. I would have been in that business curriculum, and that's end of story.
Yep.
But my mother, on the other hand, she was like, "Oh, you want this? What you want to do? Okay, baby, this what you gonna do, right?"
There we go.
And that's what my mother was. No nonsense. She was a little small woman, barely over 5 feet. And Mary Kay was something else. And then you can ask anybody in my family to tell you about Mary Kay.
Hilarious.
She was something else. But she was very smart. She was a very smart woman. I learned so many things. You talked about the crochet. She was the one that inspired me to crochet. She was a phenomenal crocheter. If I could have the things that she made to this day, I probably would just quit my job right now and just crochet 24/7 because she could crochet her behind off. And she taught us how to knit. So, that's all of our story. We grew up learning how to do all of the essential skills. We learned how to do that stuff because it was a life skill.
I definitely we gonna put a pin in that. We for sure coming back to that. And then in that same arc, as you go from like with your CT story there in Chem Bio, what was the thought? I know you were following your sister, but as you go through the curriculum and everything, what was your thought process of? This is what I think I'm gonna be like. Were you thinking? I'm guessing like maybe some form of engineering, possibly some form of chemist. What were you thinking?
So it's funny that you say engineering because that was not a big field. Like now, STEM is all everybody's talking about STEM and STEAM, right? But back then we were going to be doctors, lawyers, some of us engineers. But that was just the thinking. That's what you're going to do, right? So I just love science. Like when I was at middle school, I hated science. Science was a textbook and ditto sheets. That's what science was in middle school. We didn't have a science lab. We didn't have a lab. We didn't have equipment. I don't even remember who the teacher was, to be honest.
Wow.
I remember workbooks. That's what I remember. Yeah. And that's not how you learn, okay? Mm-hmm. But when I went to Cass, I had biology, chemistry, physics, and we did science.
Wow.
We did science. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because if I skip middle school and go back to elementary school, we were in an elementary school building. I can remember the science room.
Wow.
Goldfish, animals, furs, all type of stuff in there. Hands-on stuff for you to learn science. Middle school,
especially it moving into that building and then establishing, it did not have the resources. Yeah.
But thank God I didn't let that deter me because when I got to Cass, I loved it. I love everything about science, and I love all the sciences. I love doing the labs. I love the hands-on parts. And one thing that I think was a little discouraging was that I didn't feel like women were respected in the field as much as men were.
Yeah.
And I can remember taking a lab and working in a group. There was always the group projects. And, when I spoke up and said something, the guys just overlooked it. Like, she don't know what she's talking about.
Wow.
And so I was like, well, I think I do know what I'm talking about. But when I took my test or when I turned in my assignment, it was correct, right? So I don't know what theirs was. But I didn't let that discourage me. And I felt the same way when I went to college.
I was going to say that that reality still even being as prevalent as it is today is very tragic.
Yeah.
But just due to so many of the biased, discriminatory thought processes of people in general.
Yeah.
That presents itself. But I mean, between me and you, so much of what we attribute to science and the relationship of women. And really, if y'all really want to go real deep, let's go on and go further back. When you really get into a lot of the healing that we've known as a people for the longest of time, and it's probably from like a great-great-grandma.
Right, exactly.
That under this iteration don't have doesn't have this iteration of education, you would be surprised of like so many of the things that Black households been saying for the longest.
Oh my goodness!
You need to do this and do that. I mean, rest in peace. Yesterday was a homegoing service for like one of my best friend's grandmothers, and she made it to 99.
Okay,
and she's been saying, for the longest, and I watched back and forth like. Disease can't live in anything that's based in what's alkaline, and you need to be doing this. And this is before like the YouTube wave of whoever we watching or the TikTok or whatever. It's just like Grandma Wooden was saying this, and you like, I don't even know where you get this alkaline water or whatever. Yeah. But it's
absolutely,
and that's just one iteration. But the amount of like the herbs and stuff,
absolutely, and not to mention race. Is a factor as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I went to Earlham College, it was predominantly white. Mm-hmm. And I was definitely in a minority, super minority. Mm-hmm. And so that's another thing. You're the only Black person in the room. And when you speak, what you say is not taken seriously. And it's just a fact, It's no, I'm not trying to be discriminatory or whatever, but that was my experience.
Oh, okay? Yeah. I mean, it is. It definitely is,
That was one of the things that was so attractive to me about working at Aisha Shule.
And that moves us right to that. It's been uplifted so many times. Aisha Shule, School for the Gifted Child.
Yes.
Founded when we think about Mama Imani, Mama Imani,
Baba Malik Yakini.
Yeah, it's so many
Mama Melkia Bruntua.
Mama Melkia,
so many.
Yep.
Yes.
And then, I mean, as it continued on, because that's an institution that lasted for a long time. I mean, the way that I'm speaking to them, it's some what I would consider little homies. They grown that will speak of you in the same light.
And it's funny because I'm still teaching. And I talk to my students all the time about Aisha Shule.
Yeah.
And I tell them so much how I express the idea that, I mean, just think about this. Here we are sitting in this podcast. You were a baby coming up in the Shule when I was working there.
Little me.
I've taught all of your cousins and your sister. And, she was good friends with Tiara. And Mama Vicky, your auntie, all of her kids. And, all of these people that grew up in this community, we are still very much a community.
Very, very much. I had after an interview, somebody was asking me like, so what do you find different about the people here? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like a different level that Detroiters have about a go-to-itness just in being Black. And then you throw that African-centered school, like no matter what iteration. And I mean, I had, rest in peace, Kwame, but me and we were at, and this may have been like a year before he passed away. We were outside at like one of those bars up and down like Wayne State, and I was working on something. And we were having the discussion where I'm like, yeah, we're all a little bit different. Just the way that it just gets ingrained in you. And I mean, this is from whether the brother or sister is on a path that I think is pouring into the community what we need, or possibly not. It's a level of confidence because unlike a lot of my friends, I'm being where they may be learning a whole lot more about like the iterations of the strength of a George Washington and the brilliance of a Thomas Jefferson and a Benjamin Franklin.
Right.
I'm learning, okay, the greatest scientist ever is Imhotep.
Thank you, Aisha.
I'm learning what Queen Nefertiti was just in the sense of the world and the design. I'm learning the roots and the relationships between Kemetic knowledge and what we look at as quote unquote Western knowledge that comes from Rome, and it from there filters into everything else. So it's like you're getting this ingrained at you at like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's
younger than that. My babies were at the Shule when they were in preschool. And I was a preschool teacher at the Shule.
Oh, yeah.
And we instilled that into them at that very young age. I can remember when my oldest son, Gary, he was in preschool. And he was in the 4-year-old program. That's when Mama Imani brought me to the Shule.
Wow.
To teach. They got a grant for a 4-year-old program. And I had taught Head Start before then.
Okay.
And it's funny, I'd met her because I was a lead teacher in my classroom, and the teacher that was under me was going through the process of getting her child development associate. I already had mine. She was getting hers. And Mama Imani was her advisor.
Wow.
So she came to our classroom to visit my co-teacher. And I met her that way.
Wow.
And I hadn't known her before. She did a lot of curriculum planning for Head Start at that time. So there were some workshops and conferences and things that we had gone to that she was a part of. And I had seen her at some of these things, but I had never really met her before. So she came to the classroom and she said she was going to be starting this new program for 4-year-olds. Would I be interested in coming to teach? And so at that time, I was just at the point where I had gone back to school to get my teaching certificate. As my children were growing up, I always wanted to be able to teach them. And I always wanted to be a step ahead of them. So they went to preschool, I taught preschool. When they were getting ready to go to elementary school, I became an elementary teacher. So I was just getting ready to get my teaching certificate. And I was doing my what you call student teaching. And at that time, and even now, well, it's a little different now, but at that time you had to teach in the classroom full time during your student teaching. So if you don't have a job where they would allow you to do that, you would have to quit your job because, and that's what happened. The Head Start organization would not allow me to work part-time or, they wouldn't give me that flexibility to do my student teaching. So I had to quit. And she offered me this position right at that time.
Wow.
Where she said she would work around my schedule. She knew my story and she took me in under her wing.
I love that you shared that story because on so many levels, it also shows I had no idea that information about Mama Imani. So even sharing about that relationship with Head Start.
Oh, my goodness.
Also, it shows what you spoke to already, like her seeing the talent.
Yes.
And the family level of support that was given because in arcs of so many more, what would I say, like, I don't even want to say considerations, but just having more humanity for working with people.
Absolutely.
It just wasn't seen. So like back in that
say,
era, like the whole thought of like even like a maternity leave and stuff like it just, the further back you go, the thought process is like, like if you had a job, the thought process is like you working for your check and you almost don't need to say anything no matter how bad the situation is. So like you didn't even have that leverage. So for her to deal with you in the humanity in which she dealt with you, that speaks volumes.
And one word that, as you were talking, one word that comes to my mind is the word holistic. Mama Imani was very much an holistic educator. Because she this was part of her vision and her mission statement that we are developing the whole child. And she very much, I believe with all my heart, that's what she worked all her life to do, was develop the whole child. Even thinking about the name of the school, Aisha Shule. That means school of life. That means learning is about life. It's not just about ABCs, right? It's about life. And I believe everything that I learned from her supported that philosophy. That learning is lifelong, and school is not just about academics. You have your physical needs, you have your spiritual needs, you have your academic needs, you have all of those emotional needs. You're a whole person, right? So you have to develop all of those aspects of yourself. And I think that her form of education strived to do that. I believe that with all my heart, and I learned so much from her. Oh my goodness. We could talk all day about Mama Imani, but I thank God. I thank the Almighty Creator that she had the vision to see a little old black girl like me and see something in me enough to bring me to her school, so much so that I was able to teach. I could teach crocheting. I did physical education with the kids. We went on retreats and field trips. I mean, when I first came to work for her, we did a field trip. We went camping on my first week that I was there at the Shule. She took all the kids. We were a small school back then. Every child, preschool, first, second, third. I don't even think we went to the 6th grade. I think it was the 5th grade. It might have been. We all went camping. And parents came and they gave us a bus. They had this program where they were trying to get students in urban communities to go to the parks and take advantage of the resources that were there. So who does that? Takes the whole school camping, right?
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. It was amazing. And we did things like that. We went all over the country to science fair fair expositions.
I definitely want to get to that for sure.
All over the country. I was just talking to my youngest son, Michael, about that. Because he's going to go visit Tierra in L.A. And we were talking about, had he ever gone there? He didn't remember. I was like, well, when you were a baby, we went to LA to the science fair.
There you go.
That was your first plane trip.
Yeah. It's like not only did you go, the first place you ever went other than Detroit was LA.
Right.
Don't remember.
And that wasn't the first place out of town. Now, these kids these days, this is 2026.
Yeah.
My middle school babies, 8th graders, some of them have not left the city of Detroit before.
Yeah. I know.
They have not left the city.
I know.
Before.
I know.
And couldn't tell you whether Chicago was north, south, east, or west. Couldn't even tell you.
You got that right.
Now, it's it's just not all of them. I'm not trying to say that.
It is a reality.
But it's frightening.
Mm-hmm.
It's shocking. The things that they don't know, the things that Mama Imani instilled in us, exposed us to,
Which brings me another person that we spoke for a good amount even during your daughter's interview. Another person close to my heart from the Shule family over from this neighborhood too. And the other
Mama
person,
Easter.
You already knew. I was about to come after we talk Mama Imani. So
now look.
At Shule, you had
I have to say this about Mama Easter, okay? It's not bad. It's not bad, okay?
Yeah.
But when I first came to the Shule, guess who I worked with? Mama Easter.
For real? I love it.
For real.
I love it.
I was her co-teacher. And I worked with her until I got my certification. Then I became the first grade teacher.
Wow.
And she taught my babies, all of them, included Michael and Gozy, the youngest. She taught my nieces and nephews. She stayed in that preschool classroom. She was the anchor of that preschool classroom. But she was my initiation into the Shule, working with her.
That's one heck of an initiation. And when I say this, I mean this. And people be like, I meet a lot of people from talking, so I go many places and everything. Like, littles. And littles are cool. You know what I'm saying? I think you saw me.
What were they called?
Watoto?
Watusi.
Oh,
they were the
Watusi.
Watusi.
Yes. So, even the children across the street, I'm always asking them about, hey, if you write, I'm going to give you a book, you write a report about it, I give you $5.
Okay.
And just the interactions and how loud they are and everything.
Yeah.
Mama Easter may be she may be the only person that I've ever seen interact with littles at a level where, it doesn't even seem like it's the same. The older you get, the more you see. The noise that you hear when you go into any room or young kids get outside. I don't even know what it is. It's the minute you hit the door for recess, you're like, I don't know. That's what kids do, right?
Right.
Mama Easter's relationship with the kids
goodness.
And just the calm way she would talk and everything. It's how is she doing this?
Everybody loves Mama Easter. Everyone that has come into contact with her loves her. And Tierra mentioned this. She had foster children. She brought them to the Shule. She had her grandchildren. They were there with her more than they were with their parents. So at times, and they were part of the Shule family. And her children, it's also she had a son, Rashidi, Baba Rashidi. He worked with me when I was teaching. When we moved to the building on Puritan.
Wow.
He came, Mama Imani brought everybody on. So she brought him in. He was a teacher assistant. And he worked with me the year that he passed away.
Wow.
And it was so heartbreaking. It's it was so heartbreaking. I mean, this was like our baby,
Yeah.
And that's how I feel anytime something happens to one of our children. Because they're people like everybody else, and they make mistakes, and things happen, to people. And through, it's the Almighty's wisdom to decide, what's going to happen, when, and where. Right? We have no control over that, but it's heartbreaking. And I have gone to more of my children's funerals than I want to. But you always think that they're supposed to outlive you. It's not always that way.
But
it's like a family member. We just celebrated Chinyelu's birthday yesterday. I wasn't able to go to his celebration. I'm gonna try to be keep a straight face, but it's still hard for me to think about that.
Yeah,
you know?
Chin and
So
Shu.
Mama Charmaine's baby.
Yeah.
Chin Yelu.
Yeah, and Chin and Mama
And
Shu ain't that far
even
from
the
this way.
baby, even the youngest
Yeah,
baby,
Jacoby.
you know, Jacoby. Yeah, I mean, it's like a family member. And you know, I was with Mama Charmaine when she had him, when she had Jacoby Ra. So you know, it's heartbreaking, but that's when you love people and they become family. That's how it affects you.
Which in that same arc, I definitely got to touch back on this, because it's like, if that was like where you start, what did you pick up from Mama Easter of how she even, like, the relationship with Littles, where almost like in a very graceful, I don't remember her like yelling and like, I mean.
Well, you did yell, okay? You may not remember.
I don't remember. But I mean, just the relationship she had with so many Littles, it was just so interesting, you know.
She was like people's grandmother, you know. And that's how people responded to her. And I think that during that time, we were taught that you respect your grandparents, you know. You respect your elders. And she just that was the type of person she was. She was just loving, kind, nurturing. She was a nurturer, you know. And I think that to be honest, I think we learned from each other. Because I was coming in and I had all of this background, child development courses, you know. I was a certified preschool teacher. And then working on my certification. So there were things that I taught her.
Shared with her.
So I learned things from watching her, but we also we learned from each other, just to be honest. We did.
I love that. And now I guess now so many years in that, what are, like, if you had to give like 3 things that you would say like are just instrumental of a person going into teaching, what are some 3 things that you think will help prepare them the most of entering the space?
Okay, well, I will say this. I am the Regional 10 Teacher of the Year. This year, I was voted by the state of Michigan.
Congratulations.
As the Regional 10 Teacher of the Year, 2025-26. So it's coming to an end, but I've had to talk about this very same thing. This is one purpose of having this program where you honor teachers. And not to say that I'm the best teacher in Detroit. I'm not going to even say that, you know. But I believe with all my heart, and I've talked about this. I've been at Central Michigan University. I had to write essays on this. I had to present it to people in the Department of Education. I had to do a blog, and I talked about these things. We had to do we were doing a presentation, the whole cohort, because there are teachers in 10 different regions from Michigan, and we're all regional teachers of the year. So I'm the Detroit area teacher of the year. So there's something that I always talk about, like, and I credit the Shule, as well as things that I've learned since the Shule, is that you have to develop relationships with your children. You have to have a relationship with them. And that entails sharing your story with them. They have to know you as well as you have to know them.
Even if they're really young.
Even if they're, especially, because those babies want to sit on your lap. They want to rub your leg. They need a hug from you. If you're standoffish, how do you develop a relationship with a baby and you can't hug them and hold them and touch them, you know? Now, not to say you don't have to be cautious, you know, not to say that, but you have to be close with them. And I think the fact that when I came up through the Shule, I brought my children with me. My babies were with me at school, and I thank God that Mama Imani had the vision to allow that to happen. Who does that? Let you bring your kids to school with you. And every one of them has been in my classroom. All 3 of my children, including my nieces and nephews, they have been in my classrooms. As a matter of fact, talking about relationships, I have a student. He was in my youngest child's class, Khalif Muhammad. His whole family, it was a family of 4 of them at the time, I believe. I taught his brother Najee, his sister Naima was not in my class, but she was at the school at the time. And then Khalif was the same age as Michael. So they started in, I believe it was a second or third grade. They were classmates.
Yeah.
And long story short, Khalif ended up moving to the east side, not too far from our house, and we brought him home. He rode home with us because they would either have to catch the bus or it would take them a long time to get home, and I could just drop them off. That's another thing. People don't do that. You don't take your students to school, right? But I would pick them up, all three of them, Najee, Naima, Khalif. They would go to school with me, Michael. At the time, I don't think Gary was there, but Tierra was. All of us would ride to school together. So many stories I could tell you. Darnell, Mama Motisla, Mama Titi Layo. So many of them, we rode together. Mama Kianga. You know who Mama Vicky is, right? When she taught I was teaching preschool. She was teaching preschool. I would go pick her up, take her to school. Her babies were the same age as mine. Wow. We would ride to school together. Okay. But long story short, I digress. He moved not too far from us, so I would take him home. Another long story short, he developed a close relationship with Michael. They didn't always have a close relationship, but over time, they developed this relationship. Cool. So they ended up moving on the same street that we lived on. Wow. And they could walk to our house from their house. And every day, Khalif and his brother, Najee, would come home with us. They would eat with us. They would hang out with Michael. They would play games, and then they would walk home at night.
So that's like every picking up with the legacy of your mama and your auntie.
And wait a minute.
Okay.
So that's not the end of the story, because guess who live with us now? Khalif.
Ain't that something?
And he has become my adopted son. Wow. And I love him like I birthed him.
But that's a blessing.
And he has been with us for years now. And it's just the best possible situation. Him and Michael are best friends. Cool. Michael needs that companionship. I feel I have a 2-family flat, like a lot of us grew up in 2-family flats. So he lives downstairs. And I feel like when I leave the house, he's there.
That's beautiful.
And it's a wonderful relationship. How often does that happen? Yeah. And not to pat myself on the back, because like I tell him, it was just meant to be. Yeah. It was meant to be. The Lord put us in the same space together for a reason. He brought me into your life at a time when you needed me. And I thank God I was able to provide that for him. Yeah. So we're family.
That's beautiful. That's definitely beautiful.
This is what I tell the kids. This is what I try to tell them. These are the type of relationships you have to build. They are built, and you have to cultivate them. And if they're done right, they become lifelong relationships. And there's nothing like a friend or a companion that you've had for 30 or 40 years, and you all are still friends, and they have your back. They would do anything for you. You do anything for them. They become family, right? That's what relationships are all about. And I'm not saying that every teacher should have that kind of relationship with all her students.
Yeah, it's not going to be for every student.
It's not going to happen. But you have to, when they're in that classroom and they leave out of there, they should remember your name.
That's beautiful.
I don't remember half of my teachers' names when I was coming up.
And you're right. The ones you remember are the ones with the bigger impact.
That's right.
Yep. And the ones that was cool and all of that stuff, you barely remember it, because the teacher that you didn't like the most is always probably going to be the one after the fact. And it's like, yo.
Wait a minute. Some people that went to Marcy, they remember this. I remember Mr. Yarborough, okay? Because he was fine, okay?
Hilarious.
And he taught math. And I tell the kids stories to this day about how we learned math in his classroom when I was in elementary school, 4th grade, learning math.
That's beautiful. I would say, I remember the tougher teachers always, just because they're the ones that, me, I go back and forth. Even professors, I was going back and forth at my earliest, like, why we got to do this?
Right.
If you could get colorful about it, it'd definitely be fun. And now I'm going to pull a pin as we get closer to a close on this one.
Yeah, because I could talk.
On the stitching and crocheting.
Okay.
It's like I go on to Facebook and then I see like, you're making all types of stuff with crochet. I've seen it in my family through, rest in peace, my Aunt Marie, and some others. And rest in peace, Aunt Frances. Star kind of picked it up, but you really stayed in that arc through different waves. And you also mentioned sewing. And I assume if it's family traditions like that, like back in the day, it sounds crazy, but it's got to be real true. Like the whole, like, yeah, I'm going to just sew you a dress. Like it was.
Absolutely.
It's families that for real.
We had those loppers. Those girls had to wear loppers to school at one time. We sewed them. We had a little sewing club. Wow. Mama in a way, Mama Conke, my sister, myself. Okay. We sewed uniforms for the school.
Wow.
Now, to not to get off track, even though I learned to sew, my mother taught us how to sew, and I could sew. I don't think I'm the best seamstress, but I can sew. I think my sister's a way better seamstress than I am.
Okay.
But crocheting, it was just magical.
You picked it up.
It was magical. From the time we have stories of my mother telling us that I was 2 and I would sit on the floor in front of her and watch her crochet.
Wow.
And she would put the yarn in my hand. I played around with it. I don't even remember, Kyrie. I don't even remember her teaching me. I just learned it.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, I could read a pattern when I was 5 years old. I couldn't tell you the first book I read, but I could tell you the first pattern I wrote.
Wow.
I read and could understand it and actually made a pair of booties for my little cousin who was 5 years younger than me. I'm sorry. He was being born. I think I was turning 6 and he was being born. I made him some baby booties and read the pattern, learned how to make it. Who does that at 6 years old?
Not many. I know I could.
So it was mesmerizing for me. And I say this a lot. Crochet is my passion. And I thank the Almighty Creator that I was able to bring my passions with me to work at the Shule, because I couldn't always do that at other jobs. I would crochet when I got home. But I could teach they would watch me crochet and they wanted to learn.
Yeah.
And I cannot tell you how many young people learned to crochet, either watching me or, Mama Imani allowing me to have a class with them, or maybe during recess or something, I would work with the young people and teach them how to crochet. And it's funny. There's this story of Aisha Shule. I hope she's listening to this podcast. But she's grown now. She was in my classroom. And she remembered this. I'm older, so it's a lot of stuff I don't remember. But when I was teaching them to crochet, I would go and make a kit for them. So they would have a little plastic container. They'd have a crochet hook. They'd have yarn. They'd have all the things in there they needed for learning to crochet. So I made this little group, these kits, and she kept hers. And she said that she had her first crochet hook that I gave her, and Mama Nozibele, bless her heart, labeled it.
Wow.
Mama Nozibele was my road dog. Oh, my God. I love that woman. She was my buddy, and she always worked with me side by side. I never had a coworker that I had such a great relationship with. Never. But anyway.
So now
So she labeled it. She put Aisha's name on there, right?
Yeah.
So now years later, Aisha wanted to pick up crocheting again, found the old crochet hook that had her name on it, talked about that story on Facebook. Almost brought me to tears.
Wow, that's beautiful. which now I gotta ask, just like, one of the classic type questions. What is the most interesting request or piece that you've ever done that somebody wanted you to do?
Okay. So I've had a lot, but I think and it wasn't a request from the recipient, okay? There are a lot of crochet organizations, guilds, groups, etc. So someone reached out on Facebook. The beauty of Facebook, right? You can interact with people from all over the world, right? Mm-hmm. The beauty of the internet and social media, right? It's not all bad. But there was an African American graph GAN group. Okay, so graph GANs mean that they take an image and they put it on a grid, and you're able to crochet a design based on that pattern, mm-hmm. right? So they put out a call. They were doing a publication. They wanted people to do graph GANs that were African centered. Mm-hmm. Send the pictures to them, and they were going to publish them in this publication. So at the time, Tierra had just had Osagie, her only son. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted to make him a blanket. I made blankets for so many people, baby blankets. Mm-hmm. I love to make baby items. And I've made so many baby sweaters and hats and booties and things for people coming up in the Shule till it got to the point where there was so many people having babies. Mm-hmm. I couldn't keep up with them. So I kind of, slowed down. But I was like, okay, well, this is my grandbaby. And my daughter, Dr. Mm-hmm. Bills, is having a baby. I got to make him something, right? Yeah. So if you know anything about the process, it's time consuming. Mm-hmm. And, I've worked all my life and I've worked multiple jobs. So it hasn't always been easy to just sit and work on things, mm-hmm. right? So I said, I'm going to do this blanket for him. I'm going to put his name on it. I'm going to put some African motifs in there. I had the symbol, I never pronounced this correctly, Nyame. Mm-hmm. G-N-E, Nyame. Mm-hmm. It means only but God, God the Almighty or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. So, and that's Tierra's favorite symbol. So I stitched that, I crocheted that into the design. Yeah. I used different colors, because Africa is about vibrant colors, right? Mm-hmm. So, in this blanket, it took me a while to get it done. It wasn't done until he was turning 2. He had his 2-year-old birthday party. Okay. I finished that blanket right before then.
There you go.
But I got it done in time to publish it in this publication. And that was one of the proudest moments for me. That's was beautiful. To make that blanket, have his name in it, have it come out the way I wanted it to, and have it to be published in this magazine.
So when you get a chance, please send me a photo of that. I'll put it up in it so people can see it. Yeah,
I will.
And now I guess the next question is, because you still do a lot of this, I know when it's time. If a person wanted to reach out to you to do a piece, how do they do that?
So I have finally formulated my crochet business, mm-hmm. Nozibele Needleworks, mm-hmm. LLC. It's an LLC. I have a Facebook group. I have a email, crochetwithnozibele. That's who you mm-hmm. sent your information to me about. Okay. That's where you sent it. Mm-hmm. I don't have a website. That is my plan.
But they can reach out through email, I'm guessing.
They can email me. Mm-hmm. They can message me.
Okay.
I don't put my phone number out there, but
gotcha.
Facebook, Instagram, you can reach me through those outlets. Those social media mm-hmm. sites. And just let me know what you want. I will negotiate a price with you. Normally, I ask for a deposit because yarn is not cheap. I have to buy the yarn, and if you want something, you have to pay for it, right?
Yeah, you got that right.
And I'm not your grandma's crochet artist, so I'm not gonna make you anything for $20.
Gotcha.
I'm sorry, unless it's a hair ribbon or something.
Yeah, I got you.
You're gonna pay for my time, and if you mm-hmm. don't want to do that, then you go somewhere else.
I'm with it.
I'm just that serious about it because it's an art. Mm-hmm. It's a form of art.
Yeah, it is.
And it takes a lot of time. And mm-hmm. when I make you something, I want it to look professional. I want it to look good. I'm going to make sure it's going to fit you. If it's a hat, it's going to fit. And if it doesn't, then I'm going to make it fit, right? Okay. So I'm going to try to give you what you want to the best of your ability, and you're going to have a professionally made item that's not going to be something that you can go to Walmart or Target or the dollar store and buy.
Okay.
And if that's what you want, that's where you go.
Okay.
So.
All right. I'm with it. I'll definitely let people know. I'll let people know. So with that being said, classic Detroit is different questions. Your very first car, year, make, and model, year you got it.
Okay. My very first car, and I don't remember the year, but it was an Oldsmobile Delta 88.
Okay. All right.
Sedan. It was a two-door. That's a sedan, right?
Yeah.
Two-door sedan, orange. It was orange. My father owned the car.
Okay.
And he gave it to me when I was ready to, when I started having children and I needed a car. He gave me that car.
Where's the first place you went when you got it?
Oh, my goodness. That's been so long ago, I couldn't even tell you.
I got you.
I don't even know where we went the first time. I think the first significant place that I went to was Canada. Okay. I drove that car over to Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. You're the DJ at the end of the fireworks, Woodward and Jefferson. You get to play 2 songs. What songs you playing?
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Okay. I should have been prepared for this because I've heard you tell people. Okay, so one of them is "Living My Life Like It's Golden."
I'm with it, Jill Scott.
Yeah, I love that song. That's my theme song.
Yep.
And I probably have to do some Parliament Funkadelic.
I'm with it.
Atomic.
There we go. I'm with it. There we go. It's gonna be
one of them jams.
So
okay,
it's like you play both those songs. You got to play Golden last.
Yes.
Everybody that's a cue gonna just come out of everywhere. And it's gonna be like, look at all these cues.
The Parliament Funkadelic first,
yes,
and then we do the Golden. Okay,
like, all them cues just start popping up out of everywhere. Every time Atomic Dog comes, it's like I immediately think of them.
So yeah.
Yep. And the last question, you could rename Woodward after one Detroiter. Who would it be and why?
Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? I would give honor and praise to Mama Imani.
I love it.
Because the first year that I worked at the Shule, we were at the YMCA on Woodward. The first year I worked for her.
Yeah.
And I would name it after her. Mama Imani Humphrey. Queen Mother.
Oh, yeah.
Mama Imani Humphrey.
Oh, yeah. One of, for sure, legend in so many ways and impactful in so many different families and communities, mine included, yours obviously, and many, many others. And also, I would say she's one of those people where her legacy hit enough people where now it's like, second, third, and fourth hand is still engaging in others, Definitely. With that being said, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This has been a ball.
Oh, thanks.
I hope I didn't.
No. I love it. Especially you threw in some flavors.
I didn't digress too much.
No, I love it. Yeah, I love it. You talk about community on so many levels of this. You know what I'm saying? For sure. And also, like, I didn't even meet your mom, but shout out to her, especially for having plates for everybody that comes through.
I have to say, Dodie Kelsey Jr.
Okay, yeah, well then, definitely Dad too. I'm just saying.
He had a store on Gratiot too.
Okay.
If I could have 2 names, he would be the second name.
Okay.
Dodie Kelsey Jr.
Dodie Kelsey Jr. We uplifted. I would, but like I always say, for them people that make them plates for everybody, that's something that is definitely more in yesteryear than present.
Yes, absolutely.
Definitely. With that being said,
thank you.
Peace. Thank you.